Hi, my name is Kelsey, and I am going to be talking about back to work and back to sleep, how to develop a nap and bedtime routine and a schedule that can promote sleep for your baby as you go back to work. So, those of you that don't know me, my name is Kelsey Alford. I'm the owner of Nested Sleep. My background is a pediatric nurse practitioner. So, we're going to be talking a lot about normal childhood development, how sleep is in those first few months, and how to get them on a good schedule. I am a mom to a 2-year old and a 5-year old, and currently I'm based out of Seattle, Washington. Just a disclaimer going over that we won't be substituting any medical advice. If you have any specific things medical related, please talk to your qualified healthcare provider. And just to note, I am an affiliate at those companies. Okay, so today we're going to discuss sleep for babies around 3 to 6 months. When we're talking about family leave, many states throughout the US are starting to promote paid family leave for at least those first few months. And so we're going to be talking about sleep for those 3 to 6 months and focusing on when you're going back to work, what you're going to want to work on. So that's going to include also talking about wake windows. We're going to talk about sleep schedules throughout these first 6 months of life. We're going to talk about good sleep habits that you're going to want to start to work on these first few months. And then we're also going to touch and discuss postpartum insomnia because this can be something that can affect mom and dads as well prior to going back to work. So, we're going to start with talking about newborn sleep and what that looks like, and then we're going to go into start talking about sleep later on in that 4 to 6 month range and how that changes. So, the National Sleep Foundation has looked at numerous studies and looked at how much sleep on average newborns are getting. So, newborns less than about 3 months old sleep between 14 and 17 hours each day. Now it's very fragmented, very broken up, and so they're not sleeping long stretches in the newborn phase. This is actually biological and helpful because their stomachs are so small that they need to be eating very frequently, therefore, cannot be sleeping for long stretches either because they need to be woken up themselves to be able to eat that as frequently as they need to. Now, by 4 months, they will start to shift to a little bit lesser of sleep. It's actually pretty drastic if you think about the averages going down by a couple hours in just a few months. So, by 4 months, they're sleeping about 12 to 15 hours sleep in 24 hours. And they should have their longest stretch of sleep being in the evening, being at nighttime. That doesn't mean a super long overnight stretch yet, but it does mean that their longest stretch of sleep should be at nighttime versus during the daytime. Now, those first few months, we're going to talk about understanding sleepy versus hunger cues. That's part of your bonding leave with your child, is to really start to understand them and understand what makes them, what appears sleepy, what signs that they're giving you, and then what signs are they giving you that they're hungry. And those are their main two things that they need to communicate about in those first few months are being tired and being hungry. So these are some sleepy cues that can be a little bit different compared to being hungry. So when a baby is starting to get sleepy, they're not exhausted, but they're starting to get sleepy. You're going to see signs like they may be making some good eye contact with you and then start to lose some focus. You may find that they were okay doing some tummy time or being on the ground, but now they're becoming a little more clingy. Some babies will also get a little bit of their eyebrow area will turn a little bit red, a little bit darker than the rest of the face. So those would be some subtle signs that they can start to get sleepy. There's usually not a lot of crying during this time, and this is when you're working on practicing naps, this is actually the time you would want to ideally get them down for a nap, is when they're in that getting sleepy phase because they're able to self-soothe a little bit more. When a child or baby needs a nap, the signs that they may be giving you, they may now be starting to yawn. So that's more of a true sign that they are tired and are ready for a nap. Some babies will start pulling at their ears, kind of rubbing at their head, and they may start to get a little bit fussy at this point. And then when they're overtired, when babies are showing you that they are definitely beat, they are ready for sleep, and you usually at this time in the overtired stage now do need to help them get to sleep because there's increased crying. Sometimes they can get really worked up and they can have some clenched fists. And they can start to kick. They're starting to get mad. They don't know why, but in fact, it's because they're tired. Now, as baby is growing, again, we decided we'll talk about this sleep in the 4 to 6 month range. So again, your baby in your newborn phase, they were sleeping a lot. They were sleeping in short chunks. That's because they go right into what's called REM sleep or dreaming sleep. And so in that case, baby can have a very restorative but very short nap. And so that's very common in the newborn phase that you're going to have a lot of short naps. So don't expect baby to be sleeping 2 to 3 hour naps at a time in those first few months of life. They go right into that REM sleep, can have a very restorative short little cat nap. Now, when baby is 4 months or so of age, they'll start to go through what's called the 4 month sleep regression. Now, this is when they go into non REM sleep first, so a lighter stage of sleep. And then they'll continue to do this actually for the rest of their life, where you go into lighter stages of sleep and you go in and out of REM throughout your sleep time, throughout the night. And so this is when babies are going through this 4 month sleep regression, why they have slightly more awakenings usually overnight because now they have this later sleep, don't really know quite what to do with it yet. So we'll talk about ways that you'll develop this independent sleep that will help them through the 4 month sleep regression. So, supporting this sleep regression, you're going to want to go through some of these factors, some of these things that can help with getting through this rough patch of sleep. And so, you're going to want to, number one, start to teach independent sleep. So, what is independent sleep? So, independent sleep is when baby, you can put them down in their crib or bassinet and they can go to take a nap or go to sleep on their own. They start to learn different self soothing things. This can be sucking on their thumb. This can be as they're starting to learn how to roll over, they may get into a position that they're comfortable with. They may start to kind of rub their eyes or rub their head, find a way that they can start to self soothe. Now, this does not happen, quote unquote, overnight, but it does take some practice. Again, you want to start practicing with some of those naps, and preferably earlier in the day is when you're going to want to start practicing with those independent sleep times. Number two, you want to practice rolling and support development. You want to be starting to, if they are still using the swaddle, you definitely want to ditch it by this time. Even if they aren't rolling yet, you're going to want to give them opportunities to again get into the position that they are most comfortable in. You always want to put baby to sleep on their back for safety, but once they're rolling on their own, they can stay in the position that they're comfortable with. Number three is you want to look at light. And so, as a newborn, you really want to still show baby the difference between day and night. And so, you don't necessarily need a lot of blackout shades and stuff like that. And we'll talk more about specifics to blackout shades. But as baby starts to get older, you do want to make sure that it is dark during naps so they realize that this is a time for sleep and definitely dark for overnight as well. Number four would be noise. So sometimes having some white noise or even a fan or some kind of a noise to drown out sounds can help with soothing, especially during these lighter stages of sleep now that they're experiencing. Number 5 would be routine. And so there's not a lot of routine in those early days. With newborns, there's a lot of cycles of eating and sleeping and changing diapers, many, many diapers. But as baby starts to get older, now into the 4 to 6 month range, you're going to want to make sure that you're having a good bedtime routine, and then also a shorter version of that for nap time routine. So baby knows that it is time for sleep. So we talked about some of those different light options to make it more blackout for naps and overnight. And so there are a couple different options if you don't have true blackout shades or blackout blinds or curtains within the room. There are a couple portable options that you can consider, especially if baby is still room sharing with you and you want to have a more portable solution. So one of them would be Slumber Pod, and this one's especially great for travel as well. It's a portable blackout pod that goes over a pack and play, and it essentially creates baby's own personal little sleep space that is blackout. It's especially helpful for, again, the naps and early morning light, especially during getting into the summer months now. And I am an affiliate. If you are interested, you'll get a substantial discount from the Slumber Pod. And then the Amazon Basics, this is a great option for both at home or for travel as well. It can pack up very compactly, and it's a portable baby or child travel window blackout curtain shade. So they have these suction cups that go right on the window. They'll fit many, many window sizes and makes it pitch black in the room. Again, great for those developing good nap times, good bedtimes, and nice and dark in there. In terms of white noise, many, many white noise machines on the market out there. In general, you just want to make sure that the sound or the decibel level is about less than 50. There are a number of apps out there if you are unsure or want to test your personal white noise machine to see what the sound is. But basically, you want it to be kind of like a running shower or something like that, having a normal conversation, that type of level of sound. Some of my two favorites just for growing with your child are the Hatch Rest, which also has a toddler light in addition to the sound machine, and then the Hatch Rest Plus that has a audio monitor built in as well. And then the Dome, that is one of the stronger or a little bit louder white noise machines that is a very nice steady sound. So you're not going to want a sound that is, for example, a lullaby that's playing all night long because there's a lot of variation to that. So you're going to want something that is a nice steady sound, which the Dome does have. So just a couple options for you there. Okay, so when you're looking at naps, one of the big, really important things for babies that are less than about 6 months of age is that to look at wake windows. So, a wake window is something that I feel like you've never heard of until you become a parent, and then it is so important. So, a wake window is looking at the child's age and then how many naps they should have, and really how long they should be awake for before you're at least offering a nap. Many people will say to me, but my child can actually stay awake longer, or they can't stay awake for really much at all more than an hour. And so sometimes some kiddos will need to be pushed a little bit to stay awake a little bit longer, and other kids you just need to offer the nap, and it may end up being a little bit of a shorter nap, but that's okay. I would rather have them take a shorter nap because then they will not get overtired, which again can be problematic. So this is a good guide for you on how many naps in general your baby should be at, and then what their wake window should be. So go ahead and screenshot this, write it down. Definitely things that you want to be watching for in terms of wake window and your baby's age. And then as your baby is growing, stretching and stretching that wake window. Then it stays about the same while your child is on those two naps, and that stays for quite a while, usually until baby is more like 15 to 18 months. So you'll have a nice long time on that 2 nap a day schedule when they get closer to 6 months. So this kind of shows you some research around nap schedules. Babies actually need very, very similar amount of total daytime sleep from 6 months to a year. It does change, as you can see there, between 3 to 6 months and going down in their sleep needs. But it's just really looking more so at the amount of naps, not the total daytime sleep. So you can see that the total daytime sleep actually doesn't change that much, but the amount of naps that they are doing or taking does change. So again, keep in mind, babies in those first 3 months of life, especially the first 2 months of life, very, very short naps. They're taking 4 to 6 naps a day. And so they're not going to be long. You actually don't want them sleeping for 2 or 3 hours at this age because then they won't get enough daytime feeds in and potentially could it be up more overnight. So again, kind of screenshot this. You can find this on my Instagram as well. Just search nap schedules. So let's finish up by talking about postpartum insomnia because this can affect so many women, and it's definitely not something that is talked about a lot. About 40 to 60% of women will experience postpartum insomnia within 6 weeks after giving birth. Now, many people assume that this is baby related, so because of frequent baby awakenings, but that is not the case the majority of time. This is when postpartum insomnia is truly when baby is actually starting to sleep a little bit better, a little bit well, but you as the mom are having a harder time sleeping when baby is sleeping. So a couple things you want to be looking at your overall sleep hygiene or how your sleep environment is helping you. So considering an old school alarm clock or a hatch restore clock, this is a clock that does not have a lot of bright light. So not using your phone as your alarm clock. And then some tips for helping with postpartum insomnia. You want to again, have a good bedtime routine for yourself. So, having the same thing you do every night before you're getting ready for sleep so your body knows that it's time to wind down and time to rest. Again, developing that good bedroom environment for yourself and getting the help that you may need for mood disorders because mood disorders, including depression and anxiety, can be very, very strongly related to insomnia, both from a hormone perspective and just because if you are having symptoms of those disorders, then you may be laying in bed ruminating or thinking about different thoughts that is not helping you get the sleep you need. So, definitely getting the help you need to treat everything as a whole. Okay, so many of you know all about Nested Sleep and my services, but if this is your first time seeing this, I do one on one consultations virtual with you to get things on track. I do group sleep training 3 times a year, various educational events depending on which company you're at, or if you have a group of friends and you're interested in doing an educational event as a group, please reach out to me. I also am your social media sleep resource. You can find me at Nested Sleep, and please email me any questions you may have. Hope this was helpful as you get ready to go back to work and your baby gets the rest that they need. Have a good day.